I am choosing to do a video for my summary of learning project for my EdTech class. This class has really opened my eyes to the possibility of incorporating technology in the classroom. Before I took this class, I was not a huge fan of technology. I never really took the time, I guess, to explore it, really dive in and figure out how it can be effective in the classroom and how I can teach. But after listening to our guest speakers that Dr. Bruick had in and Dr. Bruick himself, I'm definitely convinced that technology has a place in the classroom. The first area I would like to definitely incorporate into my classroom is formative and summative assessments. Formative is more of a get to find out where your students are. It's to help the teacher direct the classroom. So I can, as a science teacher, I can give them a exit problem and tell them to turn it in, and it could be over what we went over that day or what we've gone over the last week, and I can really find out where they're struggling, what they don't understand, and where I need to focus as a teacher from then, and I can kind of not focus as much on the areas that they're doing exceptionally well in, and really devote the class time to what they're struggling in. Whereas a summative assessment is more of it's a typical test. It's graded. It's normally at the end of a unit or a chapter, and the grade just shows where students are, what they need to look over from that last unit. And which brings me to the next thing we talked about that I really love to incorporate here is grades. What are grades? Should you allow students to retake tests, which was talked about by Sean Wheeler. And grades don't always accurately reflect what the student has learned. I know there's been plenty of times where I myself, and especially in high school, would just learn the information for that week that I need to take the test, and then completely flush it out of my brain within the next month or two. And somebody could ask me, hey, do you remember taking this, and what's this? And I would have no idea. And I definitely would love to incorporate opportunity for retakes. I know that some people struggle with something, and maybe they didn't quite understand that. But if they go back and they want to, really dig into it and really understand and get that subject that they didn't quite get down and retake a test, I would love to try to let them do that. And I would just take the average of the two tests combined, so hopefully they get a better grade. Another thing I would love to incorporate, blended learning. Mrs. Stacy Hawthorne talked about that, one of our guest speakers, and blended learning it's half in the class, teacher-based, and half outside of class, online-based learning. And I think it's really awesome. I think with science that has all kinds of stuff, I could tell them to go look at videos or watch some stuff on this and expect them to come back and know that. A formative assessment tool that I would love to use is Kahoot. It is a game-based formative assessment tool. Lindsay Morehart talked about that, and I think it's a really awesome way to get a gauge on where your students are and what they need to work on, what I need to teach more of. Jake Miller talked about Google Docs. Basically any type of Google, whether it be Docs, anything really. And I could definitely, like Google Calendar. Google Calendar I would love to use in my classroom. Put that on my website or out on Twitter or something like that, where the students could come and look at it and see what we're going to learn, what I plan on teaching the next few days, when tests are, when just little quizzes are, when we have a lab, when we're not. And it would really allow the students to, if they wanted to, if they would be so inclined, is to go out, do some pre-research on some of the topics that I'm going to lecture on or talk about in the class that week. And the last thing that I really took away from this class, and I really have enjoyed learning more and more about, is the different ways to educate people, to educate students, and how different students learn. John Smith did this with ebooks in his class. It's a big deal for students to publish or show their work off to more than just their teacher, and meaning more to them. They'll do better. They'll strive to do better on that because not just the teacher is looking at it. And he used ebooks. He made them write these ebooks about different things and what all they had learned. And I think this would be a great idea. Not just necessarily the ebooks, but finding different ways, creative ways, like John did with his ebooks, to help further their learning, help further their education on a specific subject that they might be struggling in. It would allow them to really dig in, really get to understand that. Those are just a few concepts that I've loved learning about. I've loved learning about all these different ways that I can incorporate technology, into education. And I'm really glad I took this class. Thanks for the opportunity, Dr. Brewick. Thank you. Thank all these guests for teaching me the tools, giving me these tools to incorporate in my classroom.